J for Jack, O for Orange, E for E1, Y for Willie, Joey.
I'm Lorraine Hegacy and I'm Head of Children's Programmes at the BBC. Many of you will have watched Blue Peter last Friday and joined in our 40th birthday party. It was right that Blue Peter should be celebrating its many achievements of the past 40 years, and we were delighted to be presented with a special award at this week's Children's BAFTAs. But many of you will know that there has been a sad event too. One of the Sunday newspapers reported that Richard Bacon, a Blue Peter presenter, had taken an illegal drug. Richard admits that he has done this and that he very much regrets it. However, I believe that Richard has not only let himself and the team on Blue Peter down, but he's also let all of you down badly. So we have decided that Richard cannot continue to present Blue Peter, and he agrees that that is the right decision. We're all very sorry and upset about this, but I can assure you that everyone on Blue Peter will be working hard to make sure that it continues to be one of your favourite programmes.
Vandals broke into the Blue Peter garden and caused rather a lot of damage. And one really cruel thing they did was to pour fuel oil into the fish pond. Well, we've drained the pond and we've rescued some of the fish, but a few of them have died and the oil itself has caused a lot of damage.
The vandals then broke our lovely ornamental urn given to us by Mr. Taylor from Barnet. They then smashed up our sundial and then callously threw it into the pond.
And if that wasn't enough, they then trampled on the bedding plants as well. Well, we hope to repair the damage, and we may even be able to repair the ornamental urn. But it's very sad to think that a few people take such pleasure from harming their fellow human beings and from hurting animals as well.
And here are the survivors. It really is an absolute miracle that they have survived. Brian has come along to give us a bit of advice. Brian, what do you think of them after the awful ordeal that they've been through?
I think they're looking amazingly well.
Well, it's not a pretty sight, is it, what they did, Percy?
Terrible, you know. People who do this sort of thing must be mentally ill, Janet, mustn't they?
I think so.
Terrible when you come to look at it.
Joey Deacon. The first time they wheeled Joey Deacon onto Blue Peter and he tried to speak, to a 10-year-old boy, I imagine that was the equivalent of when our parents saw for the first time Bill Haley sing Rock Around the Clock. 10-year-old kids just went fucking crazy.
Mr. Joey Deacon, who's nearly 60 years old and confined to a wheelchair. And it all started when one day, as a bit of a joke really, one of the nurses said, "You know what, Joey, you ought to write a book about your life." And that's exactly what Joey did. With the help of Ernie and Tom and Michael, their two great friends who were also in their ward. First of all, Ernie would translate Joey's grunts, and very slowly, Michael would write the words down.
And if we lived in a more civilised, humanitarian society, what a 10-year-old boy would do when he saw Joey Deacon, he'd say, "That man is a timely reminder never to take for granted all life's precious gifts." What we actually did was, every 10-year-old boy around the country, when they saw Joey Deacon, all went, "Ah!"
He had a terrible life and he had these terrible impediments, and he turned to his mate Ernie Roberts one Saturday afternoon in 1970 and said, "I'm going to write my story." He didn't say that. It was unintelligible, to be honest. He didn't make any sense. But Ernie Roberts was brilliant. He was like C-3PO from Star Wars. You know, C-3PO can understand any language in the world, apart from Welsh. Because Joey Deacon could kind of, I'm not going to do it. Joey Deacon would try and talk gobbledygook. Ernie would go, "I know what that is. Michael, get your typewriter." They had another bloke, Michael would type it. So Joey would talk, Ernie would translate, Michael would type, and then Tom would make tea.
It's a good job that he died, because if he'd been alive today, he'd have been presenting Celebrity Robot Wars, maybe fighting Stephen Hawking.